This conference will now be recorded.
Oh, that's a very official sounding voice. Okay, got that? I got that. Um, partially hello, everyone, now that it's recording. Apologies for those that are not here. There was a mix-up with GoToMeeting. I actually started the meeting a little before 7, and I guess for whatever reason, it opened into a different meeting. So everyone was waiting in another meeting, and I was waiting in a different one. So unfortunately, I think, and I don't blame folks, but it's around 7:30 now, so if you hung up, that's okay. I'm going to record this program, and then I'll email out everyone a link, just so they can watch it at their leisure. And as I always do with any of my programs, I'll start partially by saying, well, first, my name is Michael Bartolomeo. I'm a digital services librarian here at the Massachusetts Richards Library. One of the things my department does is one-on-one tech appointments. So if there are any questions, even super simple, how do I do this app on my phone? How do I delete this? I'm getting an error message on my computer. Anything like that, you can come in and for free, sit with us for an hour or 5 minutes, however long you need, and we're happy to help you out. So for those who might be watching the recording of this, if you do have questions or um, want more hands-on help, we are doing in-person meetings. Um, we can do a one-on-one tech appointment and clarify things further. So without further ado, I will get trucking with all about photo storage. So why all about photo storage? In those one-on-one tech appointments that I just spoke about, probably about well over 50% of people who will come in with a smartphone and they say, oh, I keep getting this notification to update. And then we go to update and it says, oh, there's no storage available. Usually that's because there's just so many photographs saved on the device that it'll just fill it up, and then your phone can get to a point where it just stops doing stuff. It stops updating, so everything will start getting slower. So that's what kind of brought this program about, but it's also in general just some good things to know with photos, because with smartphones now, everyone has a professional essentially camera in their pocket. Even the cheapest, lowest, oldest smartphones still have cameras that rival what was used like 10 years ago. Um, so everyone is pretty much a photographer now. What that means is a lot of times you're going to have lots and lots of photos. What are you going to do with them? So just to go over what we'll be going over tonight is some options for storing photos, how to virtually organize those photos, and then also discuss some photo storage services and some of the differences between them, because there's a lot of offerings out there. Pretty much every major, anyone with a cloud storage business is pretty much also doing a photo storage business. So that's like your Google, your Apple, your Amazon, blah blah blah, Dropbox. They all have their own sort of offerings for photographs and some different solutions for making it a little easier to organize. So not that we are starting a little late, so this is probably good news, is that this presentation, I did not have this form to take up the full hour. I did leave this for time at the end for questions and if there's any specific things folks need help with. So without delaying further, we'll get moving on to physical photographs. So this presentation is primarily going to be about virtual photos. So photos saved on a computer, a device, smartphone, tablet, what have you. But a lot of people also have drawers and drawers and closets full of old photographs that they would go to Sam's Club with a little tube and get developed, and then they just sit in an envelope somewhere in a drawer. These photographs, they can be digitized. They can be made into online photos, essentially, onto a computer. Some reasons why you might want to do that is pretty much protection. So, you have those old photographs, they'll fade over time. Maybe you get a flood and suddenly they're all, water damaged. it's a good idea to get those photographed just as a backup. Even if you just back them up, stick them away somewhere, and then just forget about them. It's good to always have that in addition to the physical item in case of a fire or whatnot. So some things or some solutions to do that is use a photo scanner. So there's actually a photo scanner here at the library that you can use for free. It's a little Kodak scanner, and we also have a flat scanner for more detailed scans. The photo scanner is really good because you can come in with a whole pile of photographs, stick it in the tray, and it'll just go one after the other. There are also scanning stations at some retailers, possibly for a fee. I don't know if they're still doing it for free or if they'll, sort of nudge you with ads. But I know like places like Rite Aid, Walgreens, they typically have those big Kodak photo booths that you can go to and sometimes scan. So far, I have not been to one where it's actually working, unfortunately. I think it's always out of service. And then there's also actually free apps that you can use because, using the camera on your smartphone, because some people who have very high quality cameras can actually pretty much do the job of a scanner. So there are apps. One, for example, is PhotoScan, which is actually by Google Photos, which we'll be talking about later, that essentially has you take your camera, open the app. The camera will kind of give you like a bounding box, and you try to fit the photo within that, and then it'll automatically kind of create like a phone image out of it. So there are lots of options. I would say the easiest, especially if you have a lot of those. I always forget the dimensions on them. What are they? 5x4. The little ones that everyone has. The photo scanner here at the library is really good for going through those. So once you have either your physical photographs all digitized and saved on a computer or a flash drive or wherever, maybe even in your emails if there's not too many, or if you have tons of stuff on your computer or just on your smartphone from photos you've taken, you have to decide what you kind of want to do with them. So there are a couple storage options. I would say two kind of major categories. One is to store them either locally or on the internet through a cloud storage service. So really what these mean is local storage is saving it someplace where you have physical access to it. So a local storage could be just keeping it on your phone because that's something that's in your hand, you have it with you. That could be an external hard drive that you buy for $50 and then you just transfer all your photos onto it, put it in a closet somewhere. And so you have a physical actual device in your home that's storing all of these things. It could be a USB stick that you just plug in, put some photos on it, throw it in a drawer somewhere. So that's local storage. Cloud storage is you don't have kind of physical possession of it. You are trusting those photographs and files to a third-party company, essentially. So say you're using, and I'll use them as an example a lot, Google Photos. So Google Photos, when you upload a photo to there, you're uploading it into their cloud apparatus. So the file itself might actually be saved in some data warehouse in Texas, but you have access to it pretty much at all times. So it's kind of, you get the accessibility out of it that you can grab it but you don't really physically have it in your possession. And there are a few pros and cons to each, which I'll go through. One, I guess, pro for local storage is improved privacy. Because you're not giving away, essentially, or letting these other corporations or businesses have access to those photos, they can't get that information, which they desperately want because they are constantly wanting to learn more about us and everything we do. So keeping it local storage, no one's going to see it because it's in your closet, behind some old coats. That, and I would say kind of on the flip side of that, and I think I discuss it later, is, the privacy issue is someone can come in and take it. So if someone breaks into your home, then obviously it's not that secure because then they have access to it. But overall, I would say the chances between an online service getting hacked or your home getting broken into, I think the home is a little safer. mostly because I think when people break into homes, they're not really looking for, weird boxes in a closet. They're searching for valuables and stuff. Other pros of local storage is that it's a fixed cost. There's no subscriptions. Um, if you are buying an external hard drive, it's a one-time purchase. You're buying the $70 SanDisk 2 TB, whatever external hard drive off of at Best Buy. You essentially a one-time purchase. You buy it, you own it, and then you can just store it somewhere. There are no subscriptions, whereas with cloud storage services, a lot of them are offered for free. But if you want advanced features or additional storage, you're going to have to pay up. And some are fairly cheap. I mean, some can be $1 a month, or some are even like $50 a month. But that does add up. So when you think about over time, the $50 investment for the external hard drive versus maybe you're paying $12 a year for storage, that'll add up after 5 years. Yeah, it's something to weigh. Downside of that local storage, though, now it's sort of going into the cons, is that there's less accessibility. One thing that cloud storage kind of has as a pro is that it's easy to share things with other people. Whereas with local storage, it's a lot more of a hassle. There's a lot more manual labor involved, because if, let's say, I save photos of a birthday party on local storage on a hard drive that I have in my closet, if I want to then send those to a family member, I'm going to have to go grab that external hard drive, hook it up to a computer, drag over the photos from the hard drive to the computer, then put those into an email or into a Google Drive or some sort of thing like that, iCloud, and then share it with them. It's a lot more extra steps. Whereas with cloud storage, right in the app itself or the website, there's a little share button. You click it like on a cell phone, and immediately you can send it, you can email it, you can upload it to Drive, you can give them a link, all sorts of stuff. So that's sort of the downside of local storage, or at least one of them. And then there's also just the general risk of hardware malfunction or damage. So because it's a little physical item in your closet, it can get damaged. You get a bad flood and suddenly it doesn't work and things can be lost. It can get a glitch and the software, messes up and suddenly everything's inaccessible. That's why if you do go for the local storage route, I would say definitely do your research on reputable companies essentially for those. Some that come to mind: SanDisk, Seagate, WD, Western Digital, Buffalo, ADATA. Those are some of the bigger names with the storage, external storage. So then jumping over to cloud storage, the basics of which are it's taking your file and storing it in the cloud or on the internet somewhere. Is that greater accessibility? You can share it. You can easily send it to friends. Friends can easily share things with you. It makes it really easy to really spread out those memories and let people see them. It's convenient. There's a lot less manual labor involved. You don't have to, like with local storage, either save everything to the computer, then drag the file over to the external hard drive or wherever you want to save it. With cloud storage, a lot of them do it automatically. So I take a picture on an iPhone, and provided it's set up, that picture immediately can get uploaded to the cloud. So then, someone on a computer across the continent in California, they can open it pretty much immediately. There's no click and drag, so to speak. And you can toggle that if you're not comfortable with everything kind of being automatically uploaded, but it does allow for that convenience, especially if you're on a vacation and you're just taking pictures and you don't have to worry about uploading everything later or figuring out how to store it. There's also easier organization, and I'll say this ties into kind of a con on the less privacy side of it, is that some of these services make it easier to organize things by diving into that photograph's more sensitive data. So a lot of people don't know, but when you take a picture with a smartphone, it's actually geotagged. So in what's called the EXIF data, which is like the metadata for that image itself, it'll tell you exactly where, sometimes even to like the meter on the planet that photo was taken, what time it was taken, Depending on the service, some algorithms can actually identify faces. So if you have family members who you're frequently taking pictures with, you can identify them as, oh, that's Uncle Jim. And then suddenly any additional photos you update will automatically be tagged. And it's like, oh, that's Uncle Jim, that's Uncle Jim, that's Uncle Jim. It recognizes faces. So there are some privacy concerns with that, especially giving that sort of information to corporations that have kind of reputations for what they do with it. So that is something also to take into consideration. And that's why later on I list some companies, and some, at least on paper, look better than others, but because some don't do the facial recognition stuff, some people might consider them a little more secure. Also, with that less security, and again, I have a little asterisk there kind of as a caveat, is I'd say it is very safe. Google Drive, if you upload something to Google Drive, to iCloud, it is very safe. But it's not 100% safe, as it is with nothing. Hacks do happen. Software malfunctions do happen. It's very rare, but they can happen. So that's just something to keep in mind. I actually know some people who will do both local storage and cloud storage for the same files. So they'll back it up locally, throw it in a closet, but then also use the cloud storage for their day-to-day sharing. And then the other downside with cloud storage is generally they're free, but with limitations. So depending on the service, they will give you a free amount of storage. And usually they use the term gigabyte. So that's going into kind of file sizes. That's 1,000 megabytes. And then 1,000 gigabytes is a terabyte. So a gigabyte is not an insignificant amount of storage, especially to get it for free. But sometimes you can get photographs that do fill up, especially with more modern smartphones. When you take a photograph, it can be almost over 100 megabytes. And so you think, oh, I keep filling that 100 megabytes, 100 megabytes, 100. Eventually, after 50 or so photos, you might be getting into the gigabyte range. So while they do offer a lot of free storage, usually anywhere from like 2 to 15 gigabytes free, once you hit that limit, and if you really like that service, they're going to start asking you to pay. Be like, oh, you want more storage? Well, pay us $2 a month, pay us $3 a month. So that is also something to keep in mind. So from there, we have to kind of decide how we're going to move these photos around. We have them on a device, we have them somewhere. How do we actually go about doing this? So if you want to move something to your computer, specifically, usually for this example, I'm kind of using a smartphone, although iPads do fall into this, tablets, even iPods, I believe, with cameras, you can do this. So basically most computers try to make it easy for you. As soon as you plug it in, a lot of them will actually give you a prompt that just says, oh, do you want to import? And then you just say yes. And you can choose exactly what photos you want to bring over. If that doesn't happen, you have some options. So on a Mac computer, really all you have to do is open the Photos app. And there should be somewhere under devices, you should see if your device is plugged in or connected, either Michael's iPad or Michael's iPhone. If you click that, you should be able to find a button or right-click it where you're going to get something that says import all new items or import photos, something along those lines. I don't know the exact terminology because, like any good tech company, they like to change things up every 2 months. So as soon as you teach someone how to do something, they change it. But essentially, you're looking for anything that says import photos or import items. On Windows, at least every time I've done it with any really device, even with a USB stick, as soon as you plug it in, you'll get some options. And one of them is usually, do you want to import photos? And then you just say yes. And it'll take you through a little wizard. So you call it a step-by-step kind of steps that will show up, and you just follow them. It'll say, oh, select the photos you want. Okay, next. Oh, where do you want to save them? Okay, here, and then next. And it should do pretty much automatically. If it doesn't, you can go to the File Explorer, so just the little file icon on your computer. On the left-hand side, you'll see your quick access, this PC, network, home group, stuff like that. If you just go under this PC, there should be a listing of the devices. Then you just right-click that and hit import. And I will actually, I'll give an example of that as well. And then also on devices with compatible apps, if you're not physically moving something, a lot of them will do it automatically for you. So the photos will just be uploaded and synced over Wi-Fi. As far as I know, most services that do that have on by default that it's not going to do it over your data. So, if you don't have an unlimited data plan, you don't have to worry about suddenly uploading 2 gigabytes of photos, because by default, I believe the settings are only do this when under Wi-Fi. So that's only when you have a Wi-Fi connection will it actually start uploading these photos to the cloud, just to save your data. And so you don't hit an overage or something like that. And you can disable these things as well. So if you don't want things to upload automatically, there's little toggles in the settings. So actually, let me go ahead just really quickly and give an example. So I will share this other screen now. I will share the screen with my screen on it. Okay. So I'm going to plug in a USB stick that is going to act as my phone, essentially. So I have some photos. I actually don't think there's any photos on this, but I'm going to plug it in. It's going to detect the USB drive. There's a problem with this drive. Probably not. Continue without scanning. And it'll open up automatically. And then you can drag things in. If that didn't happen, you would go to this PC, and then you would just go and find that device. So if I had plugged in a digital camera, it would say Canon, whatever the name of the camera is there. In this case, it just says USB drive. But I can right-click and then look through, and if I have, which I don't believe I have photos on there, so it might not show up. Include in library. Yeah, you can include into pictures. You get the option there as well. So I will unplug that. I should just do it one more time. Okay. Yep, definitely no photos. So I will hop back. Okay. Where are we? There we are. Okay. So that's pretty much the basics of moving photos, essentially. And it's very difficult to show because it is, in a lot of cases, very device specific. So if you're on an iPhone, it's going to look very different from if you're on an Android, how to move those photos. But for the most part, it's you plug it into a computer with a USB, and you can at least get it to the computer. If not that way, you can upload it to the cloud. And by default, most your iPhones and your Androids are going to do it automatically, or have something set up already that you can say, hey, do you want to automatically sync and back this up? Then you say yes, and it takes care of the rest. So going into just some of the cloud services, just because I'm going to be talking about Google Photos for the most part, these are very quick comparisons. Almost everyone is going to have a free option. So Flickr is kind of different from the others. They don't go by the size standard, they just go by the number. So you can upload up to 1,000 photos and videos for free. Dropbox is 2 gigabytes. That's not really that much. They used to have a pretty good intro offer where it was a lot more. Google Photos, of these all, pretty much has the largest free option. So if you have a Gmail account, a Gmail address, you pretty much already have this. Unfortunately, it does use the same gigabyte storage as your Google Drive. So if in addition to the photos, you're also using it for file backup for presentations or documents, it's going to pretty much come from that same storage pool. So if you upload 10 gigabytes of photos, you're only going to have 5 gigabytes left for other stuff. Apple iCloud, I think that this has been pretty standard for a while, but I believe it was more in the past. About 5 gigabytes, which is, at least from the people I have met in the library who come in with their iPhones, never enough. I think every single person I've met has pretty much maxed out their iCloud, the free version at least. And as soon as that happens, if that's happened to you, you'll probably be seeing those little notifications saying, hey, do you want to upgrade? Do you want to pay us some money? We'll give you some more storage. And so that's typically how that will go. And if you're someone who's very tied to iCloud, yeah, it can be worth it to give them the $2 a month or whatever it is. But again, that's another than subscription that you're going to have to worry about every month or every year. And then Amazon Photos is kind of out of nowhere. Amazon Photos, by default, if you just have an Amazon account, not a Prime account, just a regular Amazon account, you get the 5 gigabytes free, same as iCloud. But why I kind of include them in here is because if you have Amazon Prime, you have unlimited storage. So if you're someone who has Amazon Prime and enjoys Amazon Prime and uses it for the 2-day shipping and everything else, you also, as part of that, get unlimited file storage, which is honestly a pretty good deal, especially when you consider, if you're already using it for other stuff. It's just kind of like a nice little bonus. So if you are a Prime subscriber, you can upload as many photos as you want to that service. Also, things to consider when looking at kind of some of these options is, do they auto-upload? So Flickr, which is a really good site for kind of sharing your photographs and your art. Flickr is, I think, of these, the most like a social media site, in that it's kind of designed to show a portfolio, and you can share that portfolio with people and they can see it and see your photographs. So it's kind of not necessarily marketed towards professionals, but kind of also, families can use it easily. So there's no no issues there with that. But their auto upload, unlike all the others, and by auto upload I mean you take the picture on your device, and without you having to do anything else, it'll upload to the cloud. So Flickr, though, you have to be paying for their Pro for that to happen. And we also have sorting and organizing. So when you're going through thousands and thousands of photos, especially if you're just uploading them in one chunk, you might be wanting some help with organizing those. And by sorting and organizing, I mean putting them into different albums, maybe sorting them by location or by vacation or by party. Some of these services actually will do that automatically. How do they do that? By using their fancy AI, artificial intelligence, that detects your faces and looks at the data to see where it was taken, and a bunch of other privacy questionable things. But it does, in their defense, make it a lot easier to sort photos. Whereas other ones are more manual. You're going to have to go through, physically create an album, drag them into it, and then kind of name it and pretty much do the work yourself. So I think Google Photos and iCloud are very good for that, but it's also because they have those fancy algorithms. And then photo editing. While a lot, probably not as important, a lot of these services do have photo editing in the app or on their website itself. So if you upload a photo without having to use your smartphone or maybe a DSLR or something like Photoshop, you don't need a fancy extra piece of software to add a filter to a photo, maybe change the lighting a little bit, maybe if someone has red eye, to take out the red eye effect. A lot of these services have those kind of built in, and I'll show that a little bit with Google Photos. So actually, let me hop out of here again. We are jumping all over the place. So I'm going to just share this screen here. Okay. So let me open. Nope, I wanted this one. Okay. So on here, I just opened up to photos.google.com. Actually, if you want, I'll sign out and just show it from the beginning. So if you go to Google Photos, really you can just type in Google Photos if you're unable to find it. I'm going to hit Google Photos. Go to Google Photos. You sign in with your Gmail account. Hopefully it remembers me. It's going to ask for my, yes it is. One moment. Okay. So we are in, and just as some examples, I uploaded some photos earlier. Hey, that's me. I took some really bad selfies earlier, just to kind of give some examples. So I took these with my smartphone. I was able to, with the Google app installed on my smartphone, I have a Android for, I guess just disclaimer, it is an Android. So I have the Google Photos app. It is also available for iPhone. I had it installed. I took the picture and it automatically brought it up into Google Photos. So what Google Photos will do, like iCloud, like many of these other services, is it'll actually read the data and help you organize. So these are just a few. These obviously were today. That was August 1st. And it'll actually give you some data that you can take a look at. So like this photo, if we click on that, we open that up and you get some options here. So if I'm just going to take a look at the info, the little I button, and you can see some kind of stuff here. Some probably pulled from the EXIF data. Not only do you have the name of the file, so it's 2021 08 11. You can see exactly what kind of camera it was taken, the dimensions on it, the file size. So this was 2.9 megabytes. Can you imagine if you take 1,000 of these, you're already at over a gigabyte. Kind of the information about the camera itself, the apertures and such. But down below is where you can start seeing how it helps organize. So this knew exactly where I took this photo, which is at the South Huntington Public Library. So you can see exactly here on a little Google map where this photo was taken. You can also see up here, because the algorithm is detecting a face, you can add people as a face. So if I hit that, see the algorithm has detected that is a face. So if it wanted to add someone as a face, it could. So I can create a new person. Done. And that is now a person, I believe. And then actually name it, so I'll just name it Michael. And depending on the quality of photos, the algorithm should be able to take a look at this photo as well and then automatically tag it. Or you can, oh, there we are. So it knows that is me. And as you add more of these photos, the smarter the system's going to get. So as I upload additional, maybe family photos, you're going to start seeing it get tagged automatically. Especially if you have Uncle Jim set as a person, Aunt Barbara, whatnot. As it uploads, you'll be able to do that. Why is that helpful? Other than what might feel like an invasion of privacy, it does help you sort. So if you go up to search, and you can actually see my little face right here, I can just click that, and it's going to pull up every photo that I'm in. So you can very quickly find a family member. If you're like, oh, my grandmother just passed away. I want to find all photos of her. Maybe I have 10,000 photos. You want to easily find it. That's a way to do it. And then you can actually, if you can see that, the little share icon, so that's what those three dots are, connected by a line. It almost looks like a constellation. That's sort of the universal symbol for sharing. So if you see that on a smartphone, it's just going to give you options to send whatever you're looking at to someone. So I could actually share that as an album. So it'll ask me to create an album. So I'll say Michael's mug. Say okay. And then if I wanted to, I could share it. Or automatically, yes, that's fine. Ooh, excuse me. And then from there, you can, however you want to share it with someone. If they're on your contact list, maybe someone you email frequently, you'll just start typing in your name and you'll see it there. You can type in their email address. You can share it to Facebook. There's a link for Twitter. You can create a link. So if you're more comfortable just creating the link, you can do that, copy it, then you can just send it to someone, either on a text or somewhere, and then they can click it and then they have access to it. And the great, or again, maybe not so great or creepy things is that as more photos of myself get added, it'll automatically add them to this album. So it'll automatically grow it based on the algorithm detecting my face. It does not work on dogs yet. That's why I kind of uploaded this. I was testing it earlier. That's my dog who ate a deck of cards. But even this photo, as you can see, taken in Northport. So it was geotagged there. Luckily, because there's no and then because there's no human face detected, there's no option to add a tag for a face here. And I think, as far as I believe iCloud is actually one that can detect dog faces. So if you do want to make an album with, you have certain dogs and maybe you like some more than others, you can specifically geotag their face, and the algorithm might actually be able to detect that dog's face and then put all those in an album. So you can say like, oh, I want to see all photos of Fluffy, and then it might be able to do that. Also, if you wanted to organize or just find stuff, okay, I wanted to find everything that happened in South Huntington. So I can search there, and it'll search for any photos that were taken near South Huntington or in South Huntington. So that's these here. This is me at my desk, and then that's just a water bottle. And if we go under the little information tab, we can go down here, and we'll see South Huntington. The thing I like about Google Photos is that sort of built in, and again, a lot of these other ones do as well, they have kind of a lot of options to make sharing the photos very easy and even creating things with them. So if you go down here to the print store, you actually get what might look familiar if you have ever digitized stuff or done photographs at like Rite Aid or Walgreens, is you get an option to create, so actually order different things. So you can order a photo book. So if you wanted to put together a collage and have it mailed to you, and then you can have it for a wedding, or you can make a wedding book out of it, for example. You can put these together and you'll see the different options. And you can actually kind of reverse time. I know before we talked about turning physical photographs into digital, but if you want to turn those digital into physical, you can also do photo prints directly from here. And you can get more details, get started. I'll say, okay, I want to turn that into probably a playing card, because that would be really funny, playing card of a playing card getting ripped up. You can choose the size, what kind of print you want. You can crop it, so if you wanted to zoom in a little bit, you could. You can also edit the photo a bit, and this is where I mentioned earlier, you're not going to get the super advanced photo editing, but you are going to get some. And so you can change kind of the coloring on it. You can play around with it. You can change the intensity on it. Auto is going to kind of try to use their algorithm to auto detect the best coloring and contrast and saturation for that photo. If you are someone who wants to kind of more manual control, you can actually go through the sliders and I want less color here, maybe a little more light, brighten it up, actually bring it down, and you can see more of the color on his face. You can play around with it. You can also crop, turn, angle, all from here. Okay. And I'll show you actually how to do that. So we're just going to say modify original. That's fine. We'll say don't save. So we can also go say here, and if you wanted to edit it without having to go to the prints, you just hit the little edit button up here, and then you'll get those same options. So this was, I believe, I forgot what the name of the bird was, but it was at Wertheim. So I can actually do the auto color, and it kind of brightened up the greens a little bit and allowed us to see him. But also because he's kind of far away, maybe we want to just crop it so that we can see more him as the subject. So we can do that. The zoom's a little... Oh, there we go. And you can see, just quick edited the photo. Now it has, I'll remember the name of it eventually, but has the bird more in view. Okay. Well, no, I don't want to answer you the survey. As I mentioned, there are options that you have for changing kind of the privacy side of these things. So depending on what you're on, it might look a little different. Sometimes it looks like what we call the hamburger, which is going to be like 3 horizontal bars. Pretty much you're looking for settings. Sometimes it's going to be a little gear. So in this case, we can hit the gear and you get some additional options. So you can see by default, images are being uploaded in original quality. That means they're going to be uploading in the quality that was taken on either maybe your camera or your smartphone, which typically will mean the biggest file size possible because those photos, you want them the best quality. But you can also do storage saver, which will reduce the quality a little bit, but save you some storage. So it might convert the file from kind of a high quality to a more medium quality. You also have an option here, and depending again on what app you're using, it might be hidden like this, or it might be right in your face where they're sending you pop-ups to be like, oh, buy more storage, buy more storage. So here's an option here, buy 100 gigabytes, $2 a month. It's an option if you ever need more. You can also manage your storage. So if I click here, it's going to give you kind of a breakdown of what is taking up your storage. So you can see right now I have 15 gigabytes of storage remaining. Woohoo! Pretty much because I only uploaded like 5 photos, all of which take up 17.9 megabytes. And you can see you can review. So the system automatically detects blurry photos. So if you have a phone that's out of focus and you just uploaded 7 and you're trying to get it right, it'll actually tell you how many it detects. You can then just click there and you get the option to delete them all pretty much in one go. You can also look at screenshots. So some people will like to save and upload screenshots. I believe screenshots will upload automatically like a regular photo as well. If that's something you just want to get rid of because, I don't need to keep a screenshot of maybe flight details from 2 years ago, you can go through there as well and delete it. Google will also offer some suggestions at the bottom. Sometimes they're pretty good. Sometimes they're more like learn more about our product, so you'll want to buy it. But whenever you see something like clean up Gmail and Drive, it'll actually go through and give you some options for cleaning that up. So maybe it's something a file you haven't opened in a really long time. It's like, do you really still want this? Then you get the option whether to delete or move or whatnot. So if I go back to settings, you also have some additional options. One is partner sharing. So if you wanted to automatically share photos with a spouse, so maybe you're using the same Gmail or maybe even different Gmails, but you want to kind of share the photo, you only want to buy one subscription to it. You can also do that and add them so that they see everything automatically. You can also look at different suggestions. So if you're tired of Google telling you ways to fix your photos, we're like, no, they're fine as they are. You can disable those as well. Kind of, these are more their helpful hints. You can untoggle similar facing and face grouping. So if you're a little concerned about the privacy side of the algorithm detecting faces, you can disable that. You can sort of limit that a little bit. You can also look at sharing preferences. So if you want a notification when something you can share with a friend, you can have that on. Or if you want to hide video from motion photos, or for privacy, and this is one that I would probably seriously consider, is do you want to hide photo location data? So by default, when you share a photo with someone, I think on iCloud or Google Photos or in some others, they'll be able to actually see that location data as well. So if you're sharing this with someone and you don't want them to maybe know where you were or where you live, that's something that you might want to toggle, just that they don't have access to that. If you've ordered prints, you can look at the history. Okay, yeah, pretty much keep these off. I think I always have promotional emails off on everything just to prevent the amount of spam you get. You can see, and then at the bottom also, you get some, I guess, their attempt to tell you how they're doing a good job keeping everything safe. Which, if we click that, yeah, just kind of gives you some boilerplate. We use world-class security. We don't sell your photos for ads, but I'm pretty sure they do. That's just me. That is pretty much it for Google Photos, I believe. We do have utilities, which is kind of some more advanced editing. This is not something that you typically will see with a lot of other services. So you can create a movie or an animation or a collage, so that'll just piece together different things and you can put it together. Really nice if you maybe have someone's anniversary coming up and you want to put together like a slideshow almost of photographs of them, maybe to some nice music. You can do that as well. You can also, so actually I'll just take an example. We'll do, if we wanted to create a movie, watch a child grow up. That's actually very interesting. I did see someone use that where they were able to show, because just photos over the years of someone from age 1, age 2, age 3, I think it only got up to like age 6. But little things like that you can make. Also animations, as I mentioned. I'm curious actually what it is going to allow us to do. What kind of animation? Oh, it's just going to flip between it. It's going to create like a GIF. That's creepy. I don't even like looking at myself that much.
Yeah.
So I would not do that. But that is an option as well. There are actually some nice utilities in here. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, and then also just very quickly taking a look at iCloud Photos. So this is kind of their version of Google Photos, or what theirs will look like. Very similar. You can see, this is a picture I took pretty much of the office behind me. It tagged it into Brookhaven, William Floyd Parkway, just because I took it here at the library. Then if you go and search or try to sort, you can actually, look at those. So you can see it's obviously sorted by March already. If we wanted to open that up, you can take a closer look at it. With iCloud, you're going to have some more functionality on a device itself than sort of on the website side of things. So if you're using, an iPod or an iPad, you'll have some of those imaging editing options as well. And I would show the iPad, but my screen mirroring software was not working, so I actually have the iPad here, but I am unable to pretty much show it. But one thing I will show, so let me just get out here. I'm in screen share. And it's probably going to be very difficult to see because it is, I believe, mirrored. If you have, say, something on iPad, because I will say this is usually what I see when someone comes in asking about the iCloud and photos and how to automatically have it happen. You're going to want to find your settings. So you're going to look for the gear. You're going to go all the way to the top where it has your account information. Just going to click on that. You'll see name, phone number, password safety. You're going to look down. It's not too far down, but you're going to look for iCloud. It's just going to be a nice little iCloud option. So I'm looking here. And then you're going to see all your toggle settings. So you can see at a glance from there, and this is going to be the same sort of look on an iPhone. At the top, you're going to get a breakdown of how much storage you're using on your device. And then below that, what things are automatically uploading and syncing when you're connected to Wi-Fi. So right now we have on the top is photos. So I believe it's hard to see, but it says on. So we are syncing photos. So if I was to take a photo on this right now, we would see it on the iCloud website pretty much in a few seconds. So I'm just going to open up Photos itself. And then from there, you get some options. You're going to have iCloud Photos. If you want things to automatically upload, you're going to want that toggled on so that it's green. Down below, you're going to have an option, and it does give you a little description of what it does. I usually do optimize iPad storage. That's just going to keep the the full resolution photos are going to be replaced with the not as high resolution, similar to Google Photos, just to save some space. And then you can also toggle or untoggle shared albums just as a privacy thing. So if you're okay with having opening an album in Photos and then sharing it with someone, whether you're comfortable with that or not. So again, I apologize for not being able to screen share that, but it was not playing nice with the computer for some reason. So that's just pretty much a quick overview, or I guess not so quick now that I look at the time, of two of the services pretty much of iCloud and Google Photos. And there are differences between them and the other services. Buttons are going to be in different places. The interface is going to look different, but they all pretty much do the same stuff, which is, you have a photo either saved on a computer or on a device. It'll upload it to the cloud, save it there, so that it's safe for you to pretty much delete it from your device, from your smartphone or whatnot, so they free up some space. So let me just open current side. I know this is so nice, running off of all these different screens. Okay. So we should be seeing that again. And then, so ultimately, with photo storage, you have to decide what do you want to do with them. That's going to be pretty much your first step for, and kind of, the conclusion is what's your goal for those photos? Do you want to just free up space on your device? In which case, you're going to want to look for services that offer a lot of free space, or even just available space for a premium. So maybe you don't mind paying $2 a month just to be able to put everything somewhere, but you want to make sure you get the best bang for your buck. You don't really need to do the photo editing. You don't need to do the extra album creating. You just want to put them somewhere so that you don't have to worry about your device getting full. Things like Google Photos are good for that, Flickr, or Amazon Photos if you have Prime. Also, if you kind of on that same thought pattern, if you do have photos that you want to share, or don't want to share, and don't really have any intention of frequently sharing with family, you can look into an external hard drive, just maybe as a more cost-effective over the long-term option, because you can get comparatively, an external hard drive is going to be, for the storage you get on that, is going to be a lot less expensive than, say, one of the cloud storage services. So I'm just throwing out a number. Let's say a cloud service A offers 200 gigabytes for $3 a month. 200 gigabytes, that can be a pretty good amount, but when you look at that price over the cost of a year, what is that, 36? So $36, or you can spend $50 on an external hard drive that has 2 terabytes of storage, which is multiples of that original storage. You're already kind of getting your best bang for your buck. At the same time, maybe you're never going to have a need for 2 terabytes worth of photographs, so it's something to consider. Luckily, those external hard drives are very easy to find. You can get them on Amazon, you can get them at Best Buy, Target, sometimes even. They're not hard to find, and comparing prices with them, they're usually on sale for Cyber Monday and sales like that. They're not like a little rarity thing in a back corner. And also, if you want to easily organize, you not only organize your photos into different albums but share them with others, you're going to want something that's either tied to a social network, so it has more of a sharing backbone, or their hand in different services. So like obviously Apple, not only with the iCloud, but you have that one account is connected to all your friends, your contacts. Same with Google, you have a Gmail. that can be connected to anyone else with an Android and so forth. So for if you're wanting to share them with people, look more into the services that have more of those that functionality, or even that background in their company. So that is essentially it, because I did not want to go too long and leave some time for questions. In very big letters, feel welcome to make a tech appointment if you have specific questions that maybe can't be answered virtually. My contact information is there. If I'm unavailable, there are other people in my department who are more than happy to sit and help you out. That is, I'm just trying to look on my notes, see if I missed anything. I don't believe so. So I'll just open it up if anyone has any questions. Or if you have any questions, just because I know I'm talking to one person right now.
I didn't know I was the only one.
Apparently so. I thought we had two, but I think it was your phone. So showed up as a different user. So if you have any questions, feel free to shout them out. Otherwise, I am freeing folks from their library program bindings.
Well, now at least I know I can come and talk to you in the library myself and get a one-on-one. And I think that would be easier to do than going through this.
I would say that, and that's kind of why I put it in big letters at the end, because something with this, again, it's very device specific.
Yeah.
So, even people's iPhones look different from different generations. So it's really kind of a thing you want to sit down with and be like, okay, this is my goal. This is what I want to do. How do I do it? And
it would probably be done in like 10 minutes.
Right. Yeah, rather than be on here and try to be like, oh, do you see a button in the top right corner? And yeah.
Yeah. So I appreciate this. Thank you very much. And
You're welcome.
I'll probably be visiting the library.
You are more than welcome to. We are happy to be open again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right. In that case, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting because I think we're still recording, and I think we actually have limited cloud storage space for recordings. So
Okay.
Funnily enough. So have a great night.
Yes, you too.
I'll be sending this out to folks. So have a good
Bye-bye.